All right. Good morning, friends and family. Welcome to Coffee and Craps from Florida. John from Pro Craps here on Casino Gaming TV. I got my Let's Yo shirt on. I started this trip with a flight to Kansas City to hang out with Chiro's family on his memorial service. I thought I'd end it with the same shirt. Let's do that. Been a hell of a week down here, I can tell you that. I will say this before I get into craps talk. Anybody that tells me, boy, you live in Seattle, it must rain all the time up there, you guys can all go suck it, because I'm telling you what, it rains like hell down here in Florida. I can't believe the amount of rain. I mean, we get drizzle every day up there, but good Lord, this is a whole different level of rain. I lived on the East Coast most of my life, but down here it just comes in torrents, like every day for like an hour. It's crazy town. So it rains more here than it does out there by a long shot. So I don't want to hear about how bad Seattle rain is anymore. Anyway, all that said, here we go. We are on the last day of the trip. Not a lot to summarize really about the trip itself. Some good news. We got my mom figured out. I think we found her some places to live. We did some good work down here. So I'm glad we did it. It's been hard on the show, obviously, for us, because the computer that I travel with is not a great computer, and it's been struggling to keep up with the show. So you can see there's delay in the voice. There's all sorts of mess going on. But we got through it, and I think it was a pretty good week. I actually really like how the week went in terms of what we talked about and how the win crap stuff went. We did, so far, 3 comparisons. We did the Molly versus the 5 count, the Molly versus the 1 count, which is kind of like strategies that are basically Molly strategies after some condition gets met. And we did yesterday Molly versus the Hedgeless Horseman, which was a good one too, because although the Horseman's not really a Molly, it is kind of a rolling combat system with a don't component, and that sort of keeps it safe. And what you saw yesterday was that the Horseman rarely loses, but also rarely wins, and it's going to be a true hedge. It's going to be here most of the time. It's going to be an even keel. On a great run, it'll catch it. On the short uglies, it'll catch it, but most of the time it's going to be right about here, keeping you in the game until something interesting happens. And that's kind of the point of the Horseman. There's always to keep you safe and get you to a point. But we're going to run the Horseman today against 2 variations of it. One is going to be Ken's Mutation, which it's a bit of a riskier play because the Horseman's got 4 units. The Mutation's got 7 units that we play with, right? You've got a don't pass, a lay. If the lay gets picked, it goes down to odds. There's a lot more at play here. So it's got some interesting bits to it that we can talk through as we play it out. But I'm going to put those 2 together. I'm also going to put Waylon's Lay the Point Horseman in there too. I'm not sure what he calls it, but basically, instead of the don't pass, he waits for the come out roll, lays the point, and then does free comeback. So I'm going to do that variation, and we'll talk about why that works and why that doesn't work, some of the pros and cons of that as I get into the strategy there. So, yeah, that's going to be the plan for today. Just a quick little reminder, a quick reminder about the Craps for the Cure. And just, bookmark it. If you're going to come, you want to come, Las Vegas, 11th to 12th of November, please make it happen. Let me know if you need rooms, combinations, whatever. I'm your guy on that. And also, if you want people to be there, or want me to interview people who live in Las Vegas, let me know. Dice Dr. Dan's going to be there because he's local. I'm looking at getting Bo Parker and Howard and some of the other guys out there. I'm going to have David, of course, and maybe Jack Ace can be out there. And, but let me know who you want to see. Who do you want to see out there in Vegas? No Friday Follies today. No Friday Follies just because I can't run win craps on this machine. This is an old computer, and I don't have dice with me, so I'm just going to finish out the regular series. So, it's not a dry heat in Florida. Hell no, it is moist. It's moist like I'm not going to say it's moist down here. Let's put it that way. I'm used to a drier heat. I'm used to no humidity. Let's just say that. All right, let's get after it. So, quick recap of the week. We have done. Oh, by the way, on the make my last point here on the Craps for the Cure. If you want somebody to be interviewed or you have questions for the guys I'm talking to, get them to me. And let's make this more of a community thing than it's a John thing. All right, here we go. The versus week. We started out 3-point Molly versus the 5 count. The Molly won decisively, I think. The Molly made more money in every single run than the 5 count did. The 5 count had the advantage in terms of not going to zero super quick. They both went to zero when I ran the whole thing out without a stop loss in it. They both went to zero, which is always going to happen. The 5 count went to zero about 3 times as slow, but it still went to zero. It keeps you safe, keeps your bankroll intact, but it gives you no opportunity. Like, it really limits the opportunity. That was the problem with it, and that's why the Molly won. The Molly, by the way, every time we ran a 1,000 roll series, the Molly pretty much, I would say almost every time, got a month of play. It made 20 decisions, so 4 or 5 day weeks of decisions for the Molly religiously. 1,000 rolls, month of play. It seemed to work every single time. Every time we ran it, that's what it came up with. Reliable in that respect, right? Reliably a month of play. It was reliably 18-2. Like, it had two complete whacks and 18 wins almost every single time. It was it was mathematical play, so it's not surprising that you see exactly what you expect to see. About 17, 18 wins, about 2 or 3 losses, depending on the month. It did catch a couple of massive home runs in there to make up for those losses. So that thing, if you took the total bankroll, it did good over the course of a few days. The next day we ran the 1 count. Let's wait for a shooter to make 1 point, and then we'll go in. That's the condition. The 5 counts condition is 5 box numbers. The Dice Doctor's 1 count. Shooter got to prove himself to be able to make a point before I go in. So again, you're delaying your betting. When you're betting the same as the Molly, essentially. A couple differences in there where we stack some pass line winners and that kind of thing. And again, with the Dice Doctor's 1 count, I can't code everything in. And JR was talking about this offline. There's a lot of variables in there, right? It's like, yeah, you can stack your come wins. And if you stack a come win, then you don't put odds on it. You can do all these different variations to it to make your bets stronger as you go, right? I can spend hours coding that out in win craps, or I can just play it at the table that way and like see what I see. Okay, I'm going to stack this one up this time or whatever. It's hard to code that up in win craps. It really is. So I make the win crap stuff way more mechanical and just here's what it's going to be. In this case, just like the 5 count, the 1 count was just slower. It kept us safe longer. On a hot run, it misses the first part of it. Like, the Molly has already made money by the time the 1 count player gets into the game. He's already made money on the comeback before this guy even starts playing most of the time. Now, he's going to lose while the 1 count guy's waiting, but at the end of the day, it was pretty neck and neck there, but I think the Molly had the edge overall when we saw that. But again, 1 count, fine way to play. Yesterday we did the Horseman. The Hedgeless Horseman proved itself to be what I said it was going to be, which was super safe and stable. I think it lost bankroll 1 time, and that was when I went with the endless bankroll. Otherwise, it's last 1,000 rolls almost every single time. It just did its thing. It didn't make a fortune. It never lost a fortune. It just kind of kept you in here most of the time. Right, the Molly, big potential, also big loss. Right, so it's a good. It was one of the better comparisons I thought was that one. Today we're going to run into this. We're going to run the Mutation. So the Mutation is interesting. It's about a 7-unit max bet. This comes to us from Ken. Ken Knows Gambling. And again, I can't code this thing perfectly because there's decisions you would make at the table that it's hard to put into win craps because it's not an every time decision. Like, win craps basically says when the dice get done rolling, follow these steps. And sometimes those steps are, well, I don't really feel like doing that. You can't code that in. Here's what we're basically going to do. We're going to go with a 1-unit don't pass bet and a 2-unit lay the 10. So $25 in the don't, $50 laying the 10. That lay 10 covers the don't pass. If you catch a 7 on the come out, that's covered. If a 10 comes, you're going to lose those 2 units up top. You lose $50. You come back right away. Points 10, $100 lay 10. $100 on the lay odds. In that circumstance, you would have lost two units. You'd have a 1-unit don't pass and 4 units in odds. That's your whole 7 units you're done. So if the 10 becomes the point, you're basically going to go against the 10 and let that resolve itself. That's your play. That's your whole 7 units at risk. Now, you can forego that. Like Ken will tell me and will tell you, whoops, that's not always the way to play it, right? You may not do that. You may say, well, screw it. I'll just grab a hard 10 for $10 and let the don't pass be its thing. If I'm down on my bankroll, I may not make that call. I may make more come bets. There's things you can kind of do on a feel basis or just kind of I don't feel like it right now. I can't code that in, but I can code in every time, lay the 10 if the point's 10, lay the point, be done with it. You can also code in if you've got more than the allotted, like if your units remaining is not 0. In other words, I've not used all 7 units. It's don't come, it's don't come, it's come, come, come. As long as your last bet's a come bet, you're good. Ken would say to you again, you can definitely intermix the come bets and don't come bets. You can go back and forth if you want to. You can go don't come, 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 come. You can go don't come and 4 come bets. Whatever you want to do is fine, right? And again, I can't really code that piece in. So I've coded it simply as I can, which is to say at least 1 DC. The rest are going to be come bets. As long as the last bet's a come bet, I'm happy. Okay? We're not going to stack wins or anything else. We're going to keep it just as simple as humanly possible. Again, it's not about which one's better. It's about seeing how the rhythm of these things works and when, at what points do they lose and win. Again, you can make small tweaks in there, and I think that's what part of it is what makes you kind of a craps player and a gambler is being able to make those choices as you want to. I'm looking at it more of a let's get it to be as stable as I can make it to give the best comparison, and then we'll see it. So there we go. Let's go ahead and let's see. Skill and Luck says something before I go in here. It says PC. Oh yeah, I will mention later. Crap Chat is Sunday night. Yes, awesome. And we will jump to the front of the question line with Super Chat. By the way, Super Chats are going to be starting to get targeted towards Craps for the Cure and or Chiro, the Layla Scholarship Fund. I'll give you an update on the Scholarship Fund on Monday too, by the way. So that's that. All right, here we go. Let's get to it. I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen. It's going to be the video that I filmed like an hour ago of me running the Horseman and Ken's version of the Mutation. I'm also going to run Waylon's Lay the Point. And before this video runs, I forget what I say in the video, but I'm going to tell you how this works now. We're going to bypass the come out. We're going to lay the point for enough to win $50 and have 3 come bets. Waylon's theory is that by bypassing the come out roll, you don't get whacked by the 7 or 11, which is true. However, it's always a lay bet. So if the lay bet gets picked off, you're losing twice as much money. On the Horseman, I'm putting a $50 flat out there, which always wins $50. So when it wins, I'm winning clean. I'm not winning, betting more to win less. I think you're going to see that weighs itself out, where the flat bet on the don't beats a lay bet every single time, in my opinion. That's why the Horseman is how it is. But let's go ahead and let it run and see how it goes. I'll be reading your chats and integrating with you in the chat here while that's playing, so I'll get to some of these PC questions, typing style, while that video is playing. Here we go. Let's go ahead and watch it. Perhaps again. So I'm going to work 3 strategies this time. We're going to do the Horseman, of course. That's going to be the one that we're baselining against today. We're going to run Ken's Mutation, which I'll explain to you in a minute. And we're going to run the Lay the Point Horseman, which is what Waylon did the other day. And he asked me to run it for him. So I'm going to put all 3 strategies up today. They're all kind of the same thing, slight variations here and there. So let's go ahead and let me show you the scripts and walk you through what these things do. And then we'll understand better how they run. Then we'll take some looks at it. So first things first, the Horseman. We saw this yesterday. And I'll run through it really quick. We're basically going to say all these variables up here to sort of track the number of wins, our winning percentage, number of losses, loss percentage, our win goal is set to be 10%, and our stop loss set to be 1 or 100. So win 10%, lose it all. And we are going to track paychecks in this one. So basically, every time you win 10% or lose it all, we reset the bankroll and start over again. That evaluation happens after a 7 out. We're going to put $50 on the don't, $25 in the come. If a come bet wins, we're going to come back to the come with a $10 bet. So we're going to replace the come with smaller amounts and kind of lock some profit up. And the way that it works is basically this. We have a new shooter, and we reset our number of come bets made. We put our don't pass bet out there. If we have a point and less than 3 come bets, we bet on the come. That's pretty much it. If any come bet wins, we bet that $10 back in the come. That's the whole strategy. There's no odds being taken here. No odds being taken. I'll make sure we check that setting in the main screen here in a minute. The Lay the Point Horseman is the exact same thing, except for there's no don't pass. So here I'm going to skip all the paycheck stuff, but the way the strategy works is if there's a new shooter, we reset the come bets. There's no don't pass bet being made. Then we say if the point If the point is a 4 or 10, we're betting $100 on the point, on laying the point. We're trying to win $50 on a lay bet. Okay, just like the regular Horseman looks to win $50 on the don't pass. This is going to win $50 on the lay. So we're going to lay the 4 or 10 for 100. We lay the 5 and 9 for 75. Lay the 6 and 8 for 60. And then we're going to make our 3 come bets. If the come bet wins, we're going to recycle it at $10. Same exact thing as the Horseman. We're just going to bypass the come out roll and lay the point. That's the only difference here. I've done this before, and skipping the come out sequence is good because you don't get whacked on the 7s or the 11s, but your lay bets always, you got to risk 2 to win 1 or more to win less, so you don't get the goodness of that nice flat win. So I've seen it go both ways here. We'll see what happens today. But that's the lay the point Horseman versus the Horseman. I'm not laddering. I know Waylon loves to ladder. I'm not going to ladder in this one. We're just going to play it straight. So we have an apples to apples test. At some point, I can put laddering in here and make the bets all increase and decrease as they win and lose. But for now, straight up. Now here's the interesting one. Ken's Mutation. So this one here is kind of a play on the Horseman and Crappy the Craftsman's his cold table strategy. And again, all the same stuff up here at the top. This is all the same setup for the paycheck stuff. Here's where it gets interesting. I'll show you how the strategy works. So basically, we say, if we have a new shooter, we're going to reset our units to 7. This is a 7 unit per shooter strategy. All right. Now, if the next roll is a come out roll, and I've got at least 3 units left, I'm going to put some amount on the don't pass, which I think we have set to $50, I think it's 1 unit. Our don't pass amount here is 1 unit, I believe, right? Yeah, it's 1 unit on the don't pass. And we're going to put that unit times 2 up on the lay 10. So we're going to don't pass for 25, lay 10 for 50. We're going to take 3 units out of our stack, essentially. Then we have 4 units left. Then we say this: if the last roll was a come out roll and we established a point on the 4, 5, 6, 8, or 9, we're going to take the lay bet down and we're going to add 2 units back to our stack. The 2 units that we're laying up there, they go back on our stack. Then we say the last roll is a come out roll and the established point was 10. In other words, we lost our lay bet. We're going to take 4 units out of our stack and lay them on the don't pass odds. Effectively, if the point is 10, you get whacked on that come out, you're coming right back to the lay bet and you're all in on the lay bet. That's what that looks like. You're laying the 10 for $100 to earn back the 50 you lost, plus your $25 on the don't. You're looking to walk out here with a 1 unit win in that case. If you have a point and you have only 1 unit left, you have 1 unit left that goes in the come. Let's make sure the last unit we have goes in the come. We take away our units and we're done. If I have more than 1 unit left, and then I say if I don't have a don't come, I go in the don't come. Okay. If I have more than 1 unit left and I already have a don't come, I start going to come bet. So basically, it's gonna bet the DC until I have one, and then it's gonna bet the come forever after that. It's gonna always end on a come bet, and that's it. It's gonna burn all 7 units every single time. Between come bets, DC bets, lays, and everything else, it's gonna kind of work it all. Now that's the best I can do mechanically for that script. Ken does some other decisions. He may or may not come out on the don't pass after getting beat one time. He may or may not do a DC. There's all sorts of logic that he puts in there that he, just again, as a craps player decides to do this or do that, or based on whatever. I can't put all of that in here. I can put some of it in here. Some of the basic logic is in here. So I'm really just trying to end on a come bet. I'm trying to have at least 1 DC bet. And I'm making sure that my don't pass is covered by a lay 10. And if I get burned on a lay 10, we're just going to play for the 7 and try it again next time. And that's the way I see this thing. So that's the best that I could get it. If I need to make an adjustment, I thought about maybe going, 3 on the don't pass instead of 4. So lay the point for 75 or 80 on the 10 and put the rest of it in the DC or in the come for get 1 come bet. That's an interesting way to change it. And we can easily do that. I can just lay the odds on the don't for a little less, save 1 unit for a come bet. But let's run it like this and see what happens. All right, here we go. We're going to go ahead and get them all set up. All the players are out there. They got a $1,500 bankroll. Their initial bets are set. You can see Ken's got his lay 10 and his don't. The Horseman's got its don't pass, and the lay the point Horseman does not have anything bet. Here we go. Let's go ahead and run our first run here. I'm going to turn these things on. And we're also going to do let's see, auto stop is going to be 1,000. I'm also going to double check and make sure I didn't check this before. Let's make sure we don't have odds being auto taken for anybody. Remember yesterday I had the auto bet odds. Let's see. Oh, that was in, sorry, wrong screen. That was in the auto play screen. Horseman, no odds being taken. Just want to make sure there's nobody's getting automatic odds. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. I'm going to turn this guy on, and we'll get a couple of runs here. So go. And again, you're looking for who goes to zero, when, how many paychecks we make. You're looking at the side, and you can see like the graphs are generally the same shape, right? They're all experiencing loss in kind of the same spots. What's interesting is the Horseman's got this really interesting win down here, or Ken's Mutation has this big win up in here. I'm not sure what that is as compared to this guy. It's the same shape, but there's a big set of wins in here. I'm not sure what happened. And the lay the point ladder had this really weird spike in there. Anyway, how'd we all do? Let's see. The Horseman is currently at $500. It had one at most, $1,700 high point. Never went to zero. The lay the point Horseman earned at best $1,724, so $224 in profit, but it did go to zero once, somewhere in here. And Ken's Mutation, the high point was $1,712, so they all won about $200. The low point for Ken's was $777. So if we take a look at the paycheck thing, let's take that'll be interesting. Let's see what the paycheck show us. If I do, let's see here, statistics, check stacks. This will show us their paycheck place. All right, so the Mutation down the bottom here, it had one decision. It made paycheck one time, so it was 1-0. All right, the Horseman was 3-3, or 3-0 rather, 3. So it had a little more results. The lay the point Horseman was 2-1, 2 wins, 1 loss. So there was 1 time 0, 1 time at 1. And overall, the Mutation is up $4. The Horseman's down $1,400, and the LP Horseman's down $1,400, and the regular Horseman's down $475. Let's run it again. I like to do these things as many times as possible because you get these. I don't want to save anything. You get with an RNG you get all sorts of random results. So sometimes it's a super hot run, sometimes it's kind of ugly. All right, there we go. The auto bets are set. We'll turn the check stacks off. We're gonna get these things a rolling, and let's see what happens this time. Boom, 1,000 rolls. Very jagged. It's funny, they're all doing the same kind of thing, but they all have a different rhythm about them. Here's interesting. So you can see here, I can already tell you, the lay the point Horseman went to zero right here. Ken went to zero right here. In like the same spot, they both hit this weird downturn and went to zero. I'm not sure why that is. The Horseman somehow dodged that bullet. I don't know how it dodged the bullet, but it did. I'm guessing this was a bunch of points of 10 or something, and we just went right down into the shitter, where the Horseman survived that somehow. But yeah, so they both went to zero. Overall bankroll, it looks like on this particular run, let's get this out of here. On this run, Mutation lost 1,200, the Horseman lost 130, or the LP Horseman, Wayland's lost 130, the regular Horseman won 425. So somehow they dodged a bullet. Let's look at the statistics here. So lay the point Horseman was 7-1. 8 decisions, 7 wins, 87.5% win percentage. The Mutation was 2-1, 3 decisions, 2 wins, 1 loss. And the regular Horseman was 6-0, so it never lost that time. So it's pretty stable, but again, not winning a bunch of money. It just does its thing. Let's do another run. Game new. I don't want to save anything. Let's go. On screen here. Hold on. All right, here we go. Now it's ready. There we go. Let's see what they do this. Ooh, big spike. Somebody won a bunch. They all won money. Look at that. There was a big spike in the early. It must have been a hot roll because everybody won about $500 there in that first one. Little slower here because I have the stat screen up, so we'll just talk to it. Look at these big downturns here. It must have been a little bit of. I'm not sure what happens there to make these guys go to zero so quick like that, but I'm going to make a point here. Once we get done with this run, I'm going to make a point that I want to reiterate from one of our subscribers who wrote me an email yesterday, James Newberry. You've seen him in chat. And he points out things like this. Let's take a look before I even look at the numbers. See this big gap right here? Watch my mouse. So this big giant dip right here. There's also a dip way down in here, right? And there's two ways to approach this. You got to look at these dips in wind craps. Like this is a bad. Like this is like 50 rolls of getting your ass kicked at a table. Not just like Jen playing against me, right? Just shooting against my horseman, right? Just getting destroyed. In those moments, this is what wind craps teaches you. When you look at this stuff, go, oh my God, look what's happening there. And if you dive into those rolls, and what was the sequence that caused that downturn? That's the time where you make one of two decisions. Either you reduce your bets way down. As you're losing, make those bets really, really small and ride it out. Or like some people do, just stop betting until the table changes to what you would want to bet on. But bet small in the downturn, right? Bet big in the upturn. Or you can take a more laddered approach, and in the downturn, bet more, right? You do what Waylon does, which is ladder. So when the first uptick happens in here, over here on the right-hand side here, if you laddered up as you went down, as you're coming up on this other side of this thing, you're making back those losses, right? So by not putting the ladder into here, in this lay the point horseman, you're not getting the juice off those wins. Although laddering up as you're coming down this little valley here, you may run out of bankroll. So that's a pretty steep decline. You may need like 10 grand or 5 grand to survive this here, but you will work your way out of it at some point. Now, all that said, let's see how we did. Overall bankroll, everybody won money. Mutation won $1,300 this time in total. Horseman won $618, or Waylon's did, and mine won $300. Let's look at the stats. The regular Horseman, let's see, Ken's Mutation first was 7-0, never lost its money. Waylon's Horseman was 4-0, never lost its money, and my Horseman was 3-0, never lost its money. Interesting. It was a good run, and probably because we had some darkness in here, as well as a pretty good. When you get a hot shooter in these strategies, those come bets really kind of start paying off a little bit. We aren't even taking odds. So let's do one more paycheck run, and I'll do one forever run. We'll see. We'll watch them lose all their money, which is always tickles me. So here we go. Game new. Not going to save anything. And let's go. Let's look at that. Look at that. Turn off the stats. Really quick. And again, I know Wager's asking. Wager, we just asked yesterday. My tracking wins. That's what these stats are. These stats tell us how many times a strategy won 10% versus lost the whole bankroll. Here we go. Set, go. Wow. Okay. Look at the downturn there. Oh my God. The Horseman went way in the shitter. But again, Horseman hasn't lost its bankroll yet. It's gone down here at 275, but it has not lost the bankroll yet. The Lay the Point Horseman did lose at least one bankroll, and the Mutation also did lose a bankroll. That's good showing right there. Let's see the total money. Horseman lost 1.25. Mutation won 625, and the Lay the Point Horseman lost 436. And let's take a look at the stats here. So the Horseman was only 2-0, or 2-1. No, 2-0. 2-0. That's boring. It's like 1,000 rolls, only got 2 decisions. That's a grind, man. The Lay the Point Horseman was 6-1, so it got more decisions. Pretty good percent though, 86% win rate. And the Mutation was 4-0. Never lost that time, so that's doing good. Now the Mutation does have more bets going. You're gonna have a don't pass and a don't come, so the 7's better for you. You're also going to have more come bets going, so there's more chance to win. It explains a little bit why it's making more money. We only have 4 units at risk here versus 7 here, so you can win on a shooter. You can win 3 more units than this one can. So clearly there's an imbalance there. But from a rhythm standpoint, you can see even with the extra bets, when you win more, you also have a chance to lose a little higher too. So, all right, let's do one more run, and I'm going to take off. We're going to take away the paycheck tracker. So I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to turn paycheck to 0. CS5 paycheck equals 0. For the Mutation, it'll be 0 for the Horseman, for the Lay the Point Horseman, and 0 for the old-fashioned Horseman. All right. Let's do it. Game, new, save the script changes. And this time it's just going to go until everybody goes to 0. I will take this here. And we're going to go options, set auto stop to 0. That way it'll never stop. This will make it go until everybody's at 0. And again, I'm going to try and watch to see who goes to 0 first, and I'll stop it. Once somebody gets to 0, I'll stop it. We'll see what roll it is, if I can catch it. It's kind of hard to see when it happens. Looking for a flat line somewhere. Pretty good run. Look at these bet totals up here. Horseman made $2,000. That must have been a hell of a run. Oh, you know what we should do? I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop this and take that other screen off. This check stack screen slows things down. So let's go back. The run is still going. I just paused it. Let's go again. Okay, so the later point Horseman went to 0. It took it about 1,200 rolls to get there though. And at one point it had made 1787, so it was up $200 and some at one point. Ken's Horseman is still going. He's got $1,500 in the bank right in the rail right now. He had won at one point $2,300. That's the regular Horseman. Ken's Horseman hasn't won that much this time, but it's sticking strong. It looks like it's climbing up now. Here we go. Let's finish those two out. So who goes to 0 first there? Looking for the flat line. There it goes. Well, Ken's Mutation broke first. This run, he didn't make a lot of money. His high point was only $83 in profit. That's weird. The regular Horseman's high point in profit was $2,300. So he made 800 and change. Overall, the Mutation and the later point both lost 1,500. The regular Horseman lost only 500. He's still going. Eventually, this is going to go to 0. It sometimes can take a while for the regular Horseman to go to 0. He's actually at $3,000 in profit right now. Wait it out for the bad run. And I'm sure it's going to come eventually because all strategies go to 0 as we've seen. 800. Oh boy, it went down. It's taken a long time. 8,000 rolls in. It's still holding strong. Can you believe this damn thing? Look at this run. Maybe it'll never go to 0. I don't know. It went to 0 yesterday, so we know that it's possible to catch the ugly run. Now it's down to 400. There it goes. It took about 12,000 rolls, but it eventually goes to 0. Everything goes to 0. The Horseman just takes a little longer sometimes because of the way the bets are opposed. But it did show good profit. At one point, that thing made, what is that? 32.25, so it made about $2,000 in profit at one point. That's nothing to sneeze at right there. So there's a quick comparison of Ken's Mutation, the later point Horseman, and the regular Horseman. And again, I'm not laddering the later point Horseman like Waylon would. I'm also not making all sorts of table decisions like Ken would in the Mutation. I'm making it as mechanical as I can. And the regular Horseman, I'm just doing flat come bets, right? A lot of times when I play the Horseman, I'll do place bets that get replaced, and I'll take come bets that win and make them place bets and half press. Yeah, there's all sorts of things you can do. I'm doing none of that. We're just playing them straight up flat bets, and let's see what happens. So this is the best look at it that I can get in terms of keeping it mechanically stable and not jumping around too much. And it's a good look at the core of these systems. So, all right. With that said, I'm going to get back to you live, and we'll talk about it. We'll recap right now. All right. So wake me up. I'm back. Good comments in the chat while that's going. Jacob's got some great points there about the use of wing craps versus live play. But you can't. There's no substitute for live play. Right? I think we can all probably agree on that. However, like I think as John says, people can't always go to the casino and they always have home tables. So what's the next best thing? Crapsy, playing against our rolls, or something like this. I think wing craps has got its place in the world. And what I found is trying some things out. Like, for example, I put the wedge, which is like 320 across, and kind of you go down, 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 or like these drawdown strategies. Those things can't make it past 200 rolls. Most of the time, they either win a grand or they're 0 and 200 rolls, right? Today, the Horseman, 12,000 rolls for it went to 0. Like, you don't learn that unless you're playing at your table every single day forever. Like, inherently, you think, oh, this is probably pretty safe. A lot of times it's not. This thing really shows you what is safe and what is not safe. And I think that's, to me, that is the best use of win craps, is to put stuff in there and really get kind of an idea of where you should never go and where the dark places are. That's win craps is, I think, superpower. Once you get there and go, okay, here's a good way to play. Like, for example, I can put the 6, 7, 8 in there. The way Jacob plays it, the way I play it, same thing. This thing, it'll last for thousands of rolls. And you go, okay, cool. At its core, it'll last thousands of rolls. I know I've got a good one, quote unquote, a good one on my hands here. Then you say, to Jacob's point, when I see the dice roll on the table, when I go to the casino, A, how do I want to play? What's my desired way to win? By pressing or by same betting or whatever. And B, like what is causing the downstroke? And how can I recognize that? I think Rich asked, how do you recognize the downstroke? Well, you can, in win craps, dive into it, but in real life, you're going to say, well, here I'm losing, boom, 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 boom. Do I take bets off? Do I lower bets down? Do I ladder up the losses? That's where your experience comes in. And I think with win craps, you can simulate some of that stuff and go, well, when I've got 4 losses in a row, that's a sequence I don't like. We're going to change it up. And at that point, I start doing this thing until it picks up. You can simulate that with fake money if you don't have your own table. And I think win craps is great if you don't got your own table and you want to do a lot of iterations to get it right. And when that program first came out, that's, again, I spent a lot of time in it because I was poor when I first was playing craps. I told you my story. I've been playing for 30 plus years. But early on, my buy-ins, I would visit my parents on the weekends and buy in at Harrah's Atlantic City for $100. I'd go there for $100 at $3 craps and have to make that last Friday night into Saturday, right? So I learned careful ways to play back then, but during the week on my little laptop, I would practice on win craps and learn how to do stuff and figure out kind of like what are the danger points, you know what I mean? And so when I went, I was ready, and I think it's a good use of it. It's a great educational tool. So there it is. I think it's interesting if you use it as a tool. Don't look at win craps and go, "Ooh, that strategy wins all the time. I'm going to play that." It's a tool to help you figure out what you may or may not want to do. And I think that's really cool. So anyway, let's look at I'm going to filter out PC comments. Is there anything else I need to address before I get going with the classes? Let's see. I appreciate that, Jacob. Skill always says, what did we learn today, John? Well, we learned today that these, as much as you may not like them, and I'm first in the list of not liking the Molly. I don't like playing the Molly. I don't like playing the Molly. It's boring to me, right? Some people would say the Horseman is just as boring as the Molly, and it probably is. But the Horseman's not trying to make a ton of money, right? Or paychecks. It's trying to keep you alive for a little while things happen. The Molly's trying to make money, and man, it can take forever sometimes. You've seen me burn 100 rolls out there. That said, when I put the Molly out there versus the guy betting across and basically same betting, who kicked whose ass? The Molly kicked that guy's ass. That same bettor with some different tweaks and pressing might have made more money, could have maybe hammered a longer roll better. But I'm here to tell you, when you do these simulations, you find out things like, yeah, that way's boring, but it definitely did better. You know, and for the folks who say the Horseman sucks, I know I'm talking to a few people in particular when I say that. I just proved it to you over the course of 2 straight days. That son of a gun may not be the funnest thing to play. It may be an oppositional strategy, but that thing stays stable. It didn't lose its bankroll but once the entire time in 2 days. That's pretty stout. I can guarantee you if I did a 6, 7, 8 Jacob style, I could probably get that thing tweaked up to where it also, like the Horseman, just doesn't lose bankroll. You can stable. When it comes, boom, you can hammer it. So it's interesting to see that. And this will tell you ways you might want to play or not. Like I said, I don't love playing Molly style, but I can respect the Molly. When I do stuff like this, I gain respect for it. Like, yeah, that son of a gun won. And it won big on the good rolls. So don't just put things into the scrap heap because you don't like it. Sometimes making money is better than liking the way you make it. So that's what I learned today. I learned that this week, Skill. Not every strategy is going to be your cup of tea, but if you're open-minded to it, they can all make money in certain circumstances. And I think you have to respect that for sure. So there it is. Yeah, and Ken says it's the mutation to transition. The Horseman, to me, is a transition strategy. Get the 3 come bets up there, let them pay, turn them into place bets, and press to the roof. Right? Once 2 come bets pay, you're out of the hand. You can press to the ceiling. and have a good old time with it. So lots of good points, I think, that y'all are making. And yeah, my final thoughts for this day and this week are two things. One is, again, thanks for being here again. I'm down in Florida. I got a bad internet connection. I've got an underpowered computer, and you've got 30 people here sticking with me, right? I appreciate that more than you can imagine. I hope that Wind Craps is a thing that you like. I mean, I can tell we have low viewership, probably because of video quality, but Wind Craps isn't for everybody. But for those of you who appreciate it, if you want more of it, I'll do more of it. If you want to see certain things, I'll do certain things. Whatever y'all want, I am your guy. So this is a show that I operate, but it's your show. So if you want more or less of stuff, you just gotta let me know, and I'm down for all that. All right. So that said, I'm out. I'm gonna go pack. I'm flying out of here in a few hours and get myself packed up, get some lunch, and I will see you all on Craps Chat on Sunday night with Jeff, Dylan, and the gang. Sunday night, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern for Craps Chat. And then I'll be back in my studio live Monday morning for shows that are less jaggedy than this. And also back in the garage for live paychecks. We're going to finish out the Molly. It's got 4 days left. So five Molly days left. And then we'll start something new. So with all that said, y'all, I will see you later. God bless every one of you. And thanks again. And wish me safe travels. And I'll see you on Sunday night. Bye.